We're going to get started and hopefully get out early, because I'm probably don't want to stick around all night. Stay around, so. Anyways, Mike, can you give the prayer? And Linda, can you lead us in the pledge?
You bet.
And we'll go to that point.
Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we approach Thee in prayer this evening. We're grateful for the opportunity we have of having a representative democracy, the opportunity we have of having our own city government, and we are grateful for the opportunity we have of participating in this government. Father, we ask Thy blessing to be upon the citizens of Payson, that they may be kept safe from harm or accident. We ask Thy blessing to be upon this body tonight, that we may be able to consider those items that are on our agenda, that the public may feel free to be part of the discussion as is warranted, and that we may be able to do the things that would be best for the citizens of Payson. We're grateful for all the many blessings we have. We're thankful for the moisture that we received. We're thankful for the opportunity we have of living here in Payson. And do this in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please stand and repeat the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Say it. We did everything already. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda for the June 21st council meeting and June 5th council meeting minutes. We have a motion for discussion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as outlined.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Before we go any further, I'd like to excuse Councilman Phillips. He has family coming in from out of town tonight, so he won't be taken. And we're really not sure where Councilman Welton is quite yet.
I think he's supposed to be here.
He's supposed to be here, but he's late. So when he comes in, everybody start clapping. So. All right, next thing on the agenda is a public forum. This is where anybody in the audience can stand up. What we'd ask you to do is walk up to the microphone, state your name and your address, and then address the council and mayor and council. We'll go from there.
Hi, Council. My name is Letitia Vigil, and this is my husband, Antonio Vigil. We live at 192 South 500 West here in Payson. The reason we're here today is because we experience flooding every time there's rain. We've dealt with this for the last 4 years since they placed, we used to have a speed bump in front of our home, and they placed it with a pipe, and this pipe doesn't let the water go through. And the water's ending up inside my home. Last time we had a foot in water that went inside the home. Our insurance didn't pay for it. We had to pay for it all on our own. We recently just finished the basement, and then we had this one. The kids called me and said it's flooding. It didn't go into the basement this time, but we don't want it to go back. It just keeps, we're spending money.
Let me kind of tell them a little bit about, I know 4 or 5 years ago, I met with,
I think it was Travis, you met over there, didn't we? Wasn't that when you first started on? Just right over here.
Could have been.
So when we had the pipe under the road, well, actually they put the pipe across the road, then they built like a speed bump over it. So then we come back, and it flooded them out, and that's when they had all new hardwood floors and everything. I think it flooded out, 2 or 3, 4 of your neighbors at that time. So we went back up there, and then we put in that intersection. We dug down and put a pipe in so it had a gurgle, or a, what do you call it? So we put a sump box over on this corner, and then one back over here, redone the gutters and everything. Then it rained again, and we forgot to take out the plug in the box. So it flooded them out again. And now they're flooded out again. I know we've talked about it. I think, and it's like I was telling them, number one, today's storm was a unreal storm. I mean, it was, but we keep saying we get these 1 in 100-year storms, and we keep hitting them at 8. So it's like, all right, we're getting these 1 in 5 years, 1 in 3 year storms anymore. But now they're saying, well, they sent me a video of it today, and it's still a river going down there. It's third north or third south.
Yeah.
Is that what?
500 west, just,
The one going this way?
yeah.
200 south. So 200 south. I don't know if any of you went down Taco Time. Was it 4 years ago? They got flooded out. Same deal. We redid some stuff up there. You remember all of that one.
Yeah, good.
Anyways, it's back to a deal. They come back to me again today, and I just said, you need to address the council with it.
So that's why we're here. We're just asking if you guys can help us out on that, because, we never had this problem. I've lived here for 17 years, and we just, since they put that pipe in right in front of my house, we've had this problem. And I even told them, I said, I want to sell the house. I really do, because after every rain we get debris, mud, and it's
Yeah, we ended up cleaning all the garbage.
it just blocks the pipe, and you're in there trying to unclog it because there's so much mud in it. And it's just not, I don't think it's not the right size, and because you got water coming this way, you got water coming this way, so this water is going through, and this one's getting backed up.
Push back.
And so that one's going into our yard, and my neighbors helped us out by opening her, to go into her yard, just so we're not getting flooded all the time. But that's why we're here. If we can get that addressed, that'd be amazing. We very much appreciate it.
I think the last one they had black mold. You know
Yeah,
what you said?
yes, this one, the kids were getting sick, so from the last flood, and we had a foot of water from our first flood. And we dried it up with the humidifiers and everything. We thought everything was fine. The kids were getting sick, so we called somebody in, and they actually started taking out the sheetrock, and it was actually black mold. So everything everything from the start, new construction downstairs. So, and we just barely finished it. So
A problem of it is we have nowhere for storm drain to run on that end of town. It's one of our problem child, isn't it, Travis? I mean, it all goes.
It takes almost a quarter of the city through that area.
Quarter of the city goes right down through there. And I know we've looked at a piece of property or two. It's just a matter of buying the property and putting that. We need a pond down there somewhere, right? That's all there is to it. We need to do some.
I was coming through Salem. I mean, this event was unique. There was 24 inches at the intersection of Burger King and the Chinese restaurant and that. You could not see the sidewalk, curb, gutter.
Well, I'm aware of that, but what we're saying is this is the fourth or fifth time.
That it's happened.
I understand, but
And it's like I told them, I says, it's, we have been working on it. We have been trying to fix the problem. It's just, it seems like we know that we're going to have to put it on, somewhere we got to put it on red flag, because you take a quarter of the town and you drain it right down to that 2 or 3 blocks right there.
I'm not sure that we do drain a quarter of the city. My concern is that we do this risk management, and that we ought to be looking at these things, but to indicate that we are liable for that, or that we.
Well, I'm not saying we're really liable for it or anything else. I'm just saying we need to look at something as far as a pond, or we need to put it on a long-term. We need to put something in a plan for something down there, because, I mean, this is,
yeah, because
I bet I hear from these guys once
Yeah.
a year that
Yeah.
the last 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I remember they paid, I don't know how many thousands you put in on that. She called me bawling.
Yeah, and I had his son came and helped me drain, put some pumps in, brought me some humidifiers,
And I know Scott's been down there,
So it's just,
and I agree today was a big one. I mean,
yeah.
thank God we had Councilman Phillips. He's even was out there with his backhoe helping and cleaning off trees and everything today. But, you know, that stuff happens, but I'm just saying, if this keeps happening year after year after year, we need to put it on a red flag and say, okay, let's look at it somewhere down the road.
We'll take a look at it,
Right.
and we'll come back with a proposal.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. All right, anybody else want to come before the council and mayor? Seeing none, we'll close the council forum. Staff reports.
Council and Mayor, just on the storm drain issue, I was just going to give you a report. We have 3 weather stations throughout the city, and one of them was down by my house, which only got 0.08 inches of rain, and at the streets department, we got 1.12 inches of rain. At the peak, it was coming down at 7.68 inches per hour. No city in the entire state can handle that much water in any storm drain system that you design. That's over a 500-year event. So I agree we need to look at this and we'll try to see what we can do, but we couldn't have stopped that storm event
Well,
no matter
exactly.
what we did.
And there's past couple of them we haven't had, but seems like they're getting more and more
Yeah.
anymore.
And the problem is you design a storm drain pipe for anywhere from a 10 to a 25-year storm event.
Right.
Because if you put it in for 100 years, you would have box culverts and cost millions of dollars to go down every road. So we'll try to come up with something, but it's, the best solution is we need not only a storm drain system, but curb and gutter and sidewalk. Because everyone I saw today when we went out and put sandbags out in a few places, everyone that didn't have curb and gutter was the ones that got flooded.
You see them down by the cemetery, I know 4 houses down there that got flooded out.
They got flooded, and the gravel got washed out.
And we wasn't as bad as Salem was, because I know Salem, they had a little gal got hurt today.
Student was really bad.
Yeah, busted out the window and the glass went into some little gal.
But that would help a ton if people would look at putting that in that don't have it. And then we've got to come up with a storm drain system too, because we can't just funnel it. We can't just take it all and funnel it to one area without some way to get rid of it, or that's
Exactly.
just flood everyone downstream.
Exactly. And I agree with that 100%. We need to start at the bottom and work up, not the top and work down.
On this night, I just want to remind you, we're having the National Night Out Against Crime on August 1st at the Parkview Elementary from 6 till 9. We have a dunk tank, so if you want to come dunk a cop, that'd be great. I know Linda wants to, so.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to sit up.
Are you volunteering?
No,
No, we
I've got
volunteered someone.
25 right off the get-go when Linda's up there.
We'll have the highest bidder. He wants the dunk coop, but we'd like you guys to come out. We have a bunch of the fire department, ambulance, Mountain View Hospital, many of our businesses, insurance companies, alarm companies. We're having quite a few people come out. So
Would you remind us, please? Would you send us out a reminder
yeah, absolutely.
just before the event?
Yep, I'll send out emails.
And what does that money go to?
The money for.
The dunk tank?
No, we're not. I'm just kidding. We're
Oh,
not charging.
You're not charging, okay.
I was saying I'll get in there for the highest bidder, but.
Oh,
Thanks.
okay. I was gonna say, I was gonna offer, if it goes to something, I would be, look at it.
The fire chief offered to get in there.
All right.
Mayor and council, a couple reports on the golf course. We had a real busy week. We had, we started off on Friday with Salem Hills High School Drill Team fundraiser, and they had a big event that we hosted, and I just wanted to say, it's great for us to have a golf course that both Payson and Salem Hills can use to do fundraisers, because both schools and junior highs do multiple fundraisers up there, along with the Kiwanis and stuff like that. And they just wanted me to relay to you guys how much they appreciate us working with them and what a great deal that is. And then we had the biggest church tournament that I've ever heard of and that I've ever been a part of. that we had 96 players go out Saturday morning at 7 a.m. What's the name of the stake, Dave? Elk Ridge Steaks. I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. It was really nice. And then we finished it up today with a state ladies tournament with 88 ladies from all over the state. And that's a lot of fun. It's fun to hear all the ladies come in and just rave about how great our golf course is and how much they loved it. And that brings me to another thing. Mark Highland, as you know, has been out with his second hip operation. And I just wanted to thank Greg. Matson's really stepped up. Greg's done a great job of while Mark's recovering with bouncing around and doing, taking care of a lot of stuff. So
How is Mark doing?
He's doing great. He's back on light duty, even though we keep telling him to go home, but he says he can only stare at the walls for so long. So he's back in town. He come up today, and he's slowly working back into it. So this one's a little tougher, he said, than the last one. He got a little infection in this or something. So, but he's doing well. Thank you. On the cemetery, tentatively, I think we're shooting for Monday to do the roads. Is that right, Dave? That's what we've heard last. So
We don't get it rained out?
I know, exactly. So hopefully if we can get those roads finished, then we can green it up. And we've been really trying to work on keeping it alive. And
I noticed you cut down the weeds out on the road.
yeah,
Appreciate that.
yeah, we did that last week. So, and unless you have any questions, that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other staff?
Mayor and council, just to let you know, we stayed pretty busy the last few weeks with fireworks patrols and of course wildland fires and things like that. So hopefully we get a little bit more moisture and slow things down. We've been very fortunate. We've had several small fires, especially out on West Mountain. We've been able to take care of and get put out before they get very big. Of course, we burned most of the backside of that a few weeks ago.
But now it's gonna green back up and get more, and then
Get ready for it again, right?
Yeah.
We're getting ready to also patrol out this weekend again for fireworks and things like that. Help keep people out of the restricted area we have for fireworks and things like that. And
How'd that go over the floor?
good. We had a few people we talked through that area that's restricted that they claimed they didn't know, and so we educated them, told them where they could go, and they were nice. We didn't have any problems. They went ahead and moved. We confiscated quite a bit of illegal fireworks as well. People see aerials and think that all of them are allowed, and they're not. If you have aerial devices, you light it one time and they all go off and you're good. If you have to reload it, they're illegal. The difference is basically the fireworks we sell in the state of Utah are safe and sane, so you don't get a lot of hot embers and things that come to the ground. But the ones that are illegal, you get a hot embers and things like that. So the other is we'll try and patrol that area again this weekend, help keep people out of that, because we have a lot of dry grasses you're aware up through there. We don't want to have any problems that way. So hopefully we have a quiet weekend, no more fires. I haven't put our department out on the board for wildland fires throughout the state or the nation, just because I'm a little nervous of what we have around us. So we haven't gone. We have still mutual aid. We can go around and help, but I haven't put us on nationally. We can go work with BLM Forest Service. We may eventually hear as it slows down a little bit.
Because then you get theirs under control. Ryan.
Alpine?
Or Alpine.
Yeah, it's just mop up and stuff. The main thing on the fire is they control the edges of the fire and let it go up into the rocks and stuff, so it really couldn't spread and go anywhere. So, yeah. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other staff? Seeing none? Mike?
Yeah, just a number of things. Same day of the Scottish Festival, the Chamber had a shop local event that went very well. Would like to see more people going there and visiting with our businesses, and more businesses participating, but still it was a good event. Scottish Festival was really good. It was a hot day. Got a chance to be down there for that. One of the members of our council was doing the MC, and thank him for that. Did a good job, Doug. I want to thank staff for the work on the flooding and the fires and the fireworks. We had a little bit of trouble a couple of days, and I told Chief Spencer about this a couple of days earlier in our neighborhood, which is right up against the hillside where there's a lot of dry grass. But the day of the 4th, I thought they did a fantastic job. And I think it's better than it was last year. I think we're slowly getting the education done with the citizens that you just got to be careful. You can't be doing fireworks up against areas that can end up in fires. And that's all I had, Mayor.
Okay, Doug?
Yeah, I've got it. Thank you, everybody. Speaking of flood events, my fireworks tent in Salem got blown over. So I was over there checking, well, it didn't get blown over, but it had a lot of...
You were supposed to clap when you came in.
Yeah, that was,
That's
yeah.
why we were.
Oh. Well, thank you, I appreciate it. Anyway, I apologize for
They just
being
wanted to
late.
say make you feel home.
So I gotta change gears here. So along with that, since we just talked about fireworks in the fireworks tent, I do sell fireworks as a fundraiser for the Salem Hills debate team. But I just like to echo and emphasize that we're safe. You know, I love fireworks, but you need to make sure that if you're lighting them off, that you are safe and responsible so you can continue to have that. It's not a cool thing if you damage someone else's property. That's how you lose it. So make sure that you're safe and responsible with your fireworks use. Let's see. Scottish Festival is great. I think it's a fantastic event. As I walk through the park, there are thousands of people that came through, and most of them weren't from our community. And I think it's a good thing to have people come to your community and participate in what we have. Let's see. Just a reminder, the vote is coming up. We have some candidates up here who are running for re-election and several others. The voting will be a little bit different. It will be through mail, so make sure that you're checking your mailboxes and take time to ask those who are running some questions. I'm a firm believer that you get the government that you deserve. In other words, a lot of times we get what we have because of being active or not being active. A couple of follow-up questions. Last year we talked about, in the beginning of this year we talked about putting in stop signs and traffic devices down by Wilson School. Is there a report as to how we're coming on that? Are we moving along? Are we making progress there?
It's in progress.
Like 5% progress or halfway or?
Well, like, we changed Third South and some of the other roads,
It's redundant.
and we're just kind of
Yeah.
moving through.
Yeah, Third South looked nice. I was just wondering where we were at. I get hit up every now and again on people, citizens wanting to know where we're at.
We're still working on it.
Okay. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Linda?
I've got several things, and I don't have notes like Doug, but first of all, the Scottish Festival was wonderful. It was extremely hot, if anybody went. And I'm amazed at how many people that draws. And what a good job April Jones did. A beautiful job for that. And that brings me to a dead horse that we always talk about, but I want to bring it up anyway. A couple of things I want to bring up. When I left, and you ride around and see where people had to park and had to walk from to get down to Payson City Park. They were as far east as clear up almost to 6th East, up 3rd South, and every street heading north. Clear up to my house on almost 6th South, 3rd East. Clear down the highway and clear up Main Street everywhere. I have been keeping track the times that I ride by Payson City Park, the times that I've seen people using that tennis court. Now I know we can't fit very many cars in that tennis court, But that's that, and can't go ahead and laugh at me.
Oh, I'm agreeing.
Okay.
I'm agreeing with you.
But that is stupid to me, to see that sitting there. I drive by it every single day, and I've been keeping track on, in a book. How many times? The only time that I've seen somebody was tonight. There were 4 young men playing soccer in there, kicking a soccer ball. I never see anybody playing tennis. It is such an eyesore, and it could be used more efficiently than just sitting there. And the sand to the north of it, we could park cars. Now, I mean, it might not hold a lot, but anyway, I want the city to really take a look at that. I know the council before didn't want to get rid of that, but I am a firm believer that that needs to go. It's just an eyesore in the middle of our city. I wanted to thank Janine. She's not here tonight, but I wanted to thank her for the job that she did on the Western Heritage. It was really nice. I didn't get the food. Was the food good, Mayor? It looked like everyone was enjoying themselves. The entertainment was good, and I appreciate all of the effort that she put forth for that. I was wishing that there would have been more people there, but it was very, very nice. Okay, my third thing. Today I golfed in the ladies' golf tournament. We got there at 7 o'clock to set up, and I walked in that restaurant, clubhouse, and it was just like a raging furnace in there. It was so hot. I noticed that there was a city worker that came up and was going to work on it, and I don't know what the problem is. I've been told for 3 or 4 years that either the motor doesn't work or the furnace doesn't work, or he was even hunting the place where he turned it on. He didn't know where it was. Anyway, you get 88 women in there having lunch. First of all, we all can't fit. It needs to be bigger. We have got a gold mine up there, and we need to expand, because I'll tell you, the more people that get to know about our golf course and the improvements that need to be made up there, we really have a gold mine in that golf course. I know a lot of people don't believe that, but we do. I had the gentleman that was up there. I told him to get Scott Spencer on the phone. Not Scott, Steve.
Oh, Steve.
I told him to get Steve on the phone, and that I wanted fans up there during the luncheon. If he wasn't going to get the air conditioning working, I wanted fans, and sure enough, they were up there. So I appreciate Steve for doing that, bringing up fans. That sort of helped. We can't fit them all in the clubhouse. They have to sit outside. And we took all the chairs, took up all the chairs and tables. Another concern I have up there, we purchased some beautiful tables and chairs for that room in there. The only trouble, the tables have great big round bases on them. Okay? Great big round circular bases. You can't slide chairs in because they're so big. So you don't have room to, am I right, Tracy?
Yeah, tables need new bases, for sure.
Or have somebody that knows how to cut that metal and cut pie pieces out. 4 pie pieces, something needs to be done up there.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's all I have.
You sure?
I think. I might come up, I might think of something.
Brian?
Linda took all my time, so I don't have anything.
Mayor, could I make one comment?
If you hurry, because she took up my time too.
No, this is strictly an item of thanks, and that's one reason I wasn't to the thing on Friday night. I appreciate the staff and the council and many of the citizens that have contacted me and offered me condolences on my dad passing away. And that's where I was on Saturday, or I'd have been there, but I was in family events. But I just appreciate what everybody did for me. That's what I had to say. Thank you.
Again, Streets Department, notice you guys have been doing a great job down there, especially down by Wilson. Notice they went down and cut along that one gutter, replaced all of that. Did we ever find out where the loop was on that water? The lake?
Yeah, they've got it pretty much repaired.
Do they? Okay. So, yeah, they've been doing a lot of work down there. I think that looks good. Road back here. So, I know that's, there's still a lot of work. Big thing is just, I think our biggest problem is just, like we said, the curb and gutter and tying a lot of that in, and then a lot of these older parts of town where they've just tied back into this curb and gutter, like down by the Wilson, where they have about an inch and a half maybe of asphalt is all, where they tied into the curb and gutter, and so it was breaking all that asphalt up. So anyways, we have a lot of problems, a lot of issues, a lot of money. It just takes time and money. Janine done a great job down at Western Heritage. Do we have an update? When are they going to strike the library?
We're trying to get the cars moved and get it swept. Was going to be tonight, but it's pretty wet.
Okay. Are we going to have everybody move them garbage cans and that around too back there?
That's been an ongoing battle.
Can we put them down at the end or something? I mean, where they're at, I went down there Monday night again. It's a joke back there. Kids about getting hit. You have people pulling in, guy pulled in with a motor home and he's parked this way, and you have one car out here and one car out here. There's just no sense of where to park or anything. So,
It should be striped for next night.
I mean, I'm not that big on repairing it, but it needs, safety-wise, it needs to be striped. Something needs to be done.
I talked to them yesterday. They've got the north end parking lot and the library, and then out here scheduled.
So we should probably strike out here too. I feel like I'm drunk every time I park. Not that I've ever experienced that, but there's double lines everywhere I go to park, and I don't
That's
know
out of the bag now.
I don't know which set to park in.
Okay, and then the library has informed me that they have a group that'll come in, and they are going to take care of the two planters on the inside, and they will plant them, take care of them. As for right now, we need to, I talked to Dave and them. I guess what we'll do is supply hose and that for them to water it. There is water stuff there, but apparently the last go around it didn't have a timer or anything, and that's what flooded out the neighbors. So we need to be kind of looking at that. The other thing I brought Dave down on is, and I don't know if he's told any of you, you all need to really walk through the breezeway. Walk over and kick one of the sides of the walls.
I brought it up a month or two ago.
Well, the one side on the trikes, you can kick in the wall and 4 foot up it's moving. Nothing has ever been tied back. Everything is loose. That has been a real shoddy deal. I'm sure, even talking about the library, that it's starting to leak. If we don't get that one side on the library side fixed, it's going to start leaking into the library, and then everybody's going to be wanting brand new tomorrow, and we'll condemn it, and then we're going to be in a world of hurt again. So we really need to get something looked at on that. That's my big complaints on that. And the front, with the hot dog sales and everything, I don't know how many complaints we've had on sidewalks from the trees.
They're awful.
I know it's It's a sore issue with a lot of people, but
I got some this week from some businesses.
Yep.
I've been bombarded with downtown on trees and even up the sidewalks, and it's just been unreal. So we need to really start looking at that and seeing what we're gonna do down there. I know that, you know, we might need to go into a rotation deal like Spanish Fork and all the other cities or something, but I know with the way they are right now, they're raising heck with the sidewalks. Gives it a little bit of class down there, but on the other hand, it's a liability for the city, and where do you put it from there? So, other than that, we're gonna close council.
I feel left out now.
Okay,
So
go
can I
ahead.
say something?
You got it.
Okay. Just so everybody knows that the next city council, Cameron Martin from UVU is going to come give us an update on what they're doing in this area for UVU. So if you'd like to come to that.
Okay, that it? Anybody else? Going once, going twice. We're going to close council and staff reports. Do we have any scouts in the room? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and we'll pass over that one. The next thing on the agenda is the oath of office for our new officer, and we want to table that to the next council meeting, if possible. Do we need a motion to table that?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll go ahead and motion that to the next council meeting. Next on the agenda is Chamber Business of the Month. Do we have somebody here from the Chamber? Okay, I'll turn it over to the Chamber.
Thank you. Just a quick recap if I missed Mike that already responded on our Shop Local event. We had a great turnout of about 15, 17 businesses that came. It was hot. The park at least had shade. We were on the asphalt. But we had a good turnout. We thank Payson Market for hosting that for us and having some great samples and food, and good turnout from our residents, and got some new people in town that were excited to see some of the businesses and get the word out of what the Chamber does, and we thank those businesses that participated. So our July business of the month is Anytime Fitness. And a huge shout out to them for the great things they do in our community. June they had a great fundraiser for a couple young boys with cancer and had some really good turnout and some fun activities that really helped make awareness for those cancers that are very rare, and got some good donations for those families, along with a 5K run and some other things. So we do want to recognize Jamie and Nick tonight for being here as representatives for Anytime Fitness, and have a picture. I'll pretend I have a plaque. I'm sorry, I left it.
Damn!
You guys want to come up here?
Do you want to say anything?
Do you want to stop? She just likes to smile. It's good. Thank you. Yeah.
How about the other owners?
We're just representing.
Oh, you're just representing. Oh,
Support.
Amazing.
I always wanted a picture with the
Silent.
land.
We'd love for you to get a picture. Please come get a picture. You're here representing them as well. That's great.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Congratulations.
Thanks.
I think it was my one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the presentation of the Buxton Company. We met with these guys down in Las Vegas. and I will let them just explain what they do and whatnot, and then we'll go from there.
It's fine. I'll just go ahead and deck the roll. Is this on? Is this on? Oh, yeah. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you all for being here. Pleasure. My name is Parker Key with Buxton, firm out of Fort Worth, Texas. And I'm here this evening to discuss with you guys economic development growth here in Payson City, Utah. More specifically, really geared towards retail development, local business retention. I've met with Brian Hewlett, Councilman Hewlett, and City Manager Dave. Also met with Mayor Moore and Scott Phillips of ICSC Recon out in Las Vegas a couple months back. And the discussion has been how can we help to bring in new retail business to the community to improve quality of life, generate tax revenue, as well as supporting local existing businesses. So Anytime Fitness, eateries, any type of business that you have to help them strengthen their tools and be more successful in the marketplace. So to give you a little background on Buxton, we are the industry leader in site selection for retailers. So driving into town, I saw an O'Reilly's Auto Parts, Marriott Hotels, Trader Joe's, Sally Beauty. We help these firms, these corporations, these retailers with their growth strategies. So helping them to identify where they should be putting that next location, leveraging big data. So like I said, mitigating the risk of opening an underperforming location while increasing the odds of opening that next home run location. Now, to have a little snapshot of my performance, my firm's performance over the last 12 months, you can see here that I've helped my retail partners to evaluate over 80,000 sites, 7,500 of which became brick and mortar locations. Why this is important to you as a community is because for every one flag, for every one brick and mortar that is planted in a market, they're evaluating somewhere between 10 and 12 opportunities for growth. So it's important for you, city staff, the marketplace to understand who you are, who can you reasonably attract, and having the right information at the right time when that opportunity arises. And it's through this retail experience, my analytical capabilities, that I've worked with over 700 municipalities across the nation since 2002. Worked with Flagstaff, Arizona, currently working with Washington City, Utah, Rochester, New Hampshire. I'm partnered with the Economic Development Corporation of Utah, helping to apply analytics to their business objectives. Now, I've worked with small communities as small as 2,000, 2,500 in population, but also major metros such as Atlanta, Fort Worth, Dallas, Texas, LA. So I mean, kind of like my retail partners, I have emerging concepts, I have FedEx. But at the end of the day, it's about applying analytics to accomplish those business objectives. And I'm most certainly confident that we can do the exact same thing here in Payson City. So my program is focused on two things, primarily, retail growth and business retention. So when you think about this, I'm looking to bring in retail business that should be here, should be looking at your marketplace that currently is not, and helping you to create a roadmap to go pursue those business opportunities, while also helping to strengthen and retain local business. So I heard a Shop Local campaign. You know, I have tools and insights to help those local businesses identify their best customers and formulate a plan of how they can attract new customers to their store, to their restaurant, to their gym, so that they can increase revenues and be more active in the marketplace. Now, ultimately, this two-pronged approach, as I call it, is really geared towards helping the community, the local businesses, kind of think like a retailer and have that high-level analytics that retailers are leveraging as they make those multi-million-dollar business decisions. The first part of thinking like a retailer, whether you're looking to attract business or support local business, is getting beyond the limitations of demographics. As you see here, these two individuals on the screen, age, income levels, marital status, they could be identical twins from a demographic perspective. You know, I've been talking with Brian and the Mayor Moore, you know, I mean, casual dining concepts, bringing in amenities, those are the types of things that we've discussed. And, you know, if I'm a casual dining, let's use Applebee's, you know, I need to be sure that I have enough of those right types of customers in this marketplace to be successful. And basic demographics is not going to tell me that story, and that's why retailers are partnering with me to better understand customers in marketplaces all over the United States. So Buxton is going to apply customer analytics. So what we call is psychographics, getting to the point that I can understand consumer buying habits, consumer propensities in marketplaces all across the nation. And as we see here, we can now identify these two individuals. We know how they like to shop, what they drive, the food they prefer, you know, and let's take a entertainment type concept. Let's use a movie theater, for instance. We see Tom King here in the bottom right, has 3 children and likes going to the movie theater. Whereas Ben Shaw over here on the left, 1 child and is a Netflix subscriber, highly likely to stay in on the weekends and watch TV in the comfort of his living room. So if I'm a movie theater, if I'm that casual dining concept, I have to make sure that I have enough of those Tom Kings, enough of those core customers for me to be successful, or I'm going to go belly up in this marketplace, which is also an issue for city survival of vacancies and that type of thing. Now, looking at these demographics, looking at this screen right here, if I was that movie theater or casual dining concept, I'm looking at those rooftops. You know, I see all those black dots. You know, I see the traffic patterns. So I'm probably thinking that central part of town would be my location, or maybe that northeast side of town. So, you know, what we're going to see here is by understanding the consumers in this market, those core customers are actually not where you see all the rooftops, where you see all the traffic counts. That's exactly what I'm helping my retail partners to do, is identify where those heavy pockets of those core customers are. And we have the capability to do the same thing here in Payson City, understand your customers, your citizens, your residents, your travelers, and bring business that will help optimize the marketplace. Now, I'm sure a couple of you may or may not be thinking, well, how do they have this capability? I am the largest aggregator of customer analytic data in the United States. I have household level information on every house across the nation. And I can even peel that. You know, I know y'all saying is something about peeling the onion or experience the many layers. And, you know, so the fact of the matter is I can peel the layers off of that household and understand, okay, if there's a toddler in the household, is he wearing Huggies or is he wearing Pampers? Does the wife, does she like, you know, what does she like to drink or what does she like to eat? I can get to that level of sophistication to understand the propensities in the marketplace. The second step in thinking like a retailer is getting beyond your political boundaries. I hear all the time from municipalities that, oh, we don't have the rooftops, we don't have the traffic patterns. And in some cases, especially rural environments, that's most certainly the case. But the fact of the matter is retailers are evaluating their markets and in areas for opportunity through the lens of what is called drive time. The reason they're looking through a lens of drive time is because us as customers, as consumers, are convenience oriented. I'm not worried about how many miles it is to the convenience store, or how many radio rings it is to the grocery store, but most people can tell you exactly how long it's going to take them to get somewhere, and how long it's going to take them to get back. So retailers are using that convenience-oriented mindset to evaluate markets and say, okay, within a geography that typically tells me that this is how far people are willing to drive to get my goods and services, do I have enough customers in this market? Now, to put that in perspective for Payson City, you know, you're able to see that your population at your political boundaries, I've got it somewhere between 19 and 20,000, give or take, and you guys may be outpacing the census for all I know. But at the end of the day, within 10 minutes of your city core, your population goes up to over 37,000. So, you know, a fast food restaurant, for instance, is probably looking at 10 to 12 minutes. But if I'm at Applebee's, I'm looking at 15, 20 minutes. Grocery store, 20, 25 minutes. So what is the opportunity there? Who are the customers? And then we can do the exact same thing here, understanding who those customers are.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Absolutely.
So how well does this take into account like smaller rural communities like Sanpete County and Nephi south of us? Because they're willing to drive up to an hour and they do it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And it seems like you should be able to capture them, but I understand that people from Salt Lake aren't necessarily going to drive down.
Absolutely.
So can you capture those pocket markets that we're really closer to? In fact, we could be one of the only things they have, us in Spanish Fork.
Sure. No, that's a great question, and that actually is perfect timing of where we're at in this presentation. And the reason I bring that up, is the fact that we have two, so typically, you know, I'm leveraging all the household analytics that I have, but I can go pull additional data, and Mr. Hewlett and I have discussed this. I have exclusive partnerships with debit and credit card providers, so I can actually understand the consumer spend here and track them back to those rural communities and understand what their value is to the marketplace. But something else that Mr. Hewlett and I have discussed is the fact that you guys have interstate traffic off of I-15. You want to capture that moment. You have a temple that is going to pull people from probably all over the United States, and he wanted to have a way to better understand that. So not only can I leverage debit and credit card data, I can also leverage mobile data. So I can actually, through mobile pings, pick up who that person is coming to the temple, coming off of I-15, and from that can actually start to build a profile of who they are as a consumer. So you can actually bring in amenities so that you have a higher likelihood of capturing those people coming off the interstate, or when they're coming to the temple, being able to capture that. So we most certainly have the capability to do that, and we're doing that in several communities right now, even in rural atmosphere, La Junta, Colorado, Lamar, Colorado, to name a few, Ahoskie, North Carolina. So most certainly. But the fact of the matter is it's my ability to marry all these components together, because in and of itself that would be inconclusive, and it's my ability to bring all this information together to understand who Payson is to a retailer. And I call it your retail trade area's unique thumbprint, your retail DNA, what have you. But once I have spent 15 to 20 business days analyzing this marketplace, I'm going to push that through a proprietary algorithm, through a proprietary database of over 5,000 retailers. So looking at the world of retail, I mean, you know, anything, and one that I mentioned that I know is very popular here, Zupas is a partner of mine. So I'm currently working with Zupas to help them lay out their growth strategies. You know, that could be something that we evaluated through these 5,000, but I'm literally going to match your marketplace to the world of retail and understand what is the best fit in this market. Not just from a sustainability perspective, but also understanding how does it complement the market, so ensuring that we're bringing in businesses that aren't going to just bring in direct competition to your existing businesses. So they're going to complement, they're going to be sustainable and successful, but they also have a high likelihood to enter a market like yours in the next 12 to 24 months, because obviously growth strategies are a process. So I'm going to essentially take the guesswork out of that. And once, it is important for me to note that I typically am going to come back to you and have the best 20 retail targets for you to pursue. Now, whether that's the residents and citizens, whether that's city administration, whether that's mayor and council, you do have the ability to say yes or no to those retail options that we would be looking to pursue. So to give you a little example, I've matched communities to a Hooters, and they come back and say, you know, there's absolutely no way that we're going to go for this. And so maybe that's, I match you to a gym, and you say, hey, look, we have Anytime Fitness that's killing it here. They're active in the community, and we don't want to bring in direct competition to them. So you do have that ability to tell me what you do and don't want to see. And once we are on the same wavelength there, I'm going to start building out the same market intelligence that I provide to my retail partners to you, so that you have that right market intelligence when approaching these retailers. So I'm going to come up with specific marketing packages for every retail business we've identified. I'm going to identify who is that corporate level contact, so that, you know, the site selector, the head of real estate, what have you, for that corporation. And then my senior vice president is going to let them know, hey, Payson, Utah has partnered with Buxton. We have conducted a comprehensive retail analysis and determined that your specific brand would be a great fit in this marketplace. Now, with that in mind, the outreach and the negotiation does fall on behalf of my community partners. So, you know, whether that's city management, whether that's, you know, whoever it is, I have communities that divide and conquer, and everybody handles 2 or 3. There's different ways to approach that, but the fact of the matter is nobody can sell your community better than you can. And to take that a step further, the second that I start acting as a third party, not living here, working here, I'm perceived as a broker, as a real estate broker that is pushing an opportunity and marketing available real estate for a commission. And that tells a retailer they have no vested interest in my success or failure. They're going to take a commission and scoot on down the road. But I'm going to equip you with a dedicated account management team. So a staff extender, essentially a team of 5 or 6 individuals that are going to work in tandem to approach these businesses, whether that's a conference call, whether that's an in-person site visit here in Payson, or even deal-making conferences like ICSC. I mean, I think Mayor Moore, if nothing else, definitely saw our presence at that show, and we're going to support you through those conversations with retailers through that implementation phase. So that is really all I wanted to hit on the retail recruitment front. All I'm going to go over now is a little bit of market insights and tools for your local businesses, some technology, and then I'll wrap this thing up. But what you're seeing here is we're going to support your local businesses with insights. And what that means is I'm going to deliver the same market intelligence that major retailers are utilizing to your local businesses. So the first one being household and workforce consumer profiles. Who are my consumers here in the surrounding areas? So not just, what are their marketing preferences, what is their technology capabilities? If I send a customer an email, well, they may not be getting that email. Maybe I need to send them direct mail. So a better understanding of the customer base. Understanding of retail leakage and supply surplus and supply and demand gap analysis, which essentially is going to help identify where you have strengths, weaknesses, areas for opportunity for growth. Consumer propensities, helping with shelf allocation, individual decisions to the tune that I can help a local convenience store or grocery store say, what orange juice do I need to be selling? I can tell a sporting goods store what types of baseball gloves should I be selling next spring when baseball gets started. So helping with those types of objectives, as well as demographics and different, what's happened previously, what's projected to happen in the future. Now this is something that we have just rolled out. This is a new tool that we have created that I can deliver to 25 of your local businesses. If you can't utilize all of them, you most certainly can hold those for businesses that may be starting through the course of this partnership. But what this allows your local businesses to do is to answer a couple questions, and then it's literally going to understand who they are in this market. So it's going to understand the drive time of those core customers. On the left, you see a bunch of red dots. That's going to illustrate those core #1 customers. And it gives them the ability to execute marketing strategies through Facebook, Google search, mobile banner ads, email, and direct mail, so that they can hit those most valuable customers here in the marketplace with direct targeted ads, and it even gives them the ability to track those results so that they can evolve as a marketer and say, hey, maybe email didn't work last time, but Facebook and Google search optimization did, so I'm going to put more dollars in that bucket. But I can deliver 25 of these user license agreements to you through my partnership that you can distribute to the chamber and really enhance their relationship with the member base that they have. Now I'll quickly breeze through this. Really what I'm hitting on here is I give you full access to my data, to the market insights through online platforms. So you have full access to my information anytime, anywhere. You have full access to my staff at any time. There's no, there's not a limit of my exposure to help you through these efforts. But I'm going to deliver all of this information, such as your retail matches, that is, you could literally, the mayor could have been walking around ICSC with this on his cell phone a couple months back with all the market intelligence to get engaged with these retailers. So behind each and every one of those tiles is that market intelligence. So existing locations from a cannibalization perspective, competition, core customers, as well as that match report that I mentioned earlier, so understanding how your marketplace compares to existing locations that retailer has in the market currently, so that they can see, I have done this before and I have been successful. The main reason retailers partner with me is because they aren't pioneers, they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They want to find success and duplicate it as many times over, and that's exactly what this little one-pager illustrates to a retail brand. So to wrap up, I just kind of wanted to shed some light on the market insights, most importantly, the leakage that you guys are experiencing. So at your political boundaries, you're about 19,720 in population. Like I mentioned, at just a 10-minute drive time, your population jumps up over 37,000. But just within your city core, within those political boundaries that we've discussed, you have over $88 million in retail leakage. And what that tells me is there's opportunity for growth, there's opportunity to bring in new business here. By doing that, you're going to improve the quality of life for your citizens, but you're also going to generate new tax revenue for the city. And that can be distributed for infrastructure improvements, that can be used for parks and rec, what have you, but there's definitely a direct correlation with commercial business and tax revenue to a city. And like I said, we do have the tools and capability if we want to be proactive and really quantifying who those transient consumers are and do everything we can to capitalize on tax revenue from people that don't live here or work here, but they're still a consumer and they're going to spend dollars. So I definitely appreciate everyone's time. At this point, I'd just like to go ahead and open up for conversation if you got anything for me.
Any questions? I have a question. Do you work with developers as well?
Yeah.
So, like Woodbury Corporation,
Uh-huh.
do you work with them?
I do not, but I have several municipality partners throughout the U.S. that their developers have helped fund the program. I also work, I don't know the name of his development company, but there's a developer right outside, about 45 minutes outside of Pittsburgh, that actually just landed a Topgolf through this exact program that you're looking at currently. He also landed a healthcare facility for his development. And that's something that Mr. Hewlett and I had discussed. We also work in healthcare, so Mercy Hospital Systems, dental clinics, emergency clinics. We help them with their growth strategies, and we will deliver healthcare information to your marketplace through our mapping platform. So you can run all sorts of different healthcare reports to help your hospital here, to understand, hey, maybe there's areas for growth in this sector. You know, you can even run reports of these more rural counties south of you and say, okay, they need healthcare units. Let's be that healthcare hub for this area. So we give you all types of information on that front as well.
Okay, we'll look it over and get back with you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next thing on the agenda. We have a motion to go into public hearing. Motion to go into public hearing. Okay, we got a motion.
I'll second that.
We have a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, we're now into public hearing on the proposed amendments for the Title 19 zoning and the Title 20 subdivision. I'll turn this over to Jill, and then afterwards we will turn it over to the audience.
Okay. Mayor and Council, we do have a public hearing tonight for proposed amendments to Title 19 zoning ordinance, Title 20 subdivision ordinance, and the standard specification and standard plans of Payson City. So there's going to be three of us presenting. So we're going to start with Kent Bowden with the standard specifications and standard plans. He just has one quick amendment that he would like to discuss with you. And then I have a couple of quick ones to discuss as well. And then the bulk of the presentation and the ordinance amendments will be presented by our other planner, Daniel Jensen. So I'll turn it over to Kent real quick.
Mayor and Council, in an attempt to consolidate our standards and specification for Payson City, we present this amendment. It should have been emailed to you. I missed getting it in the packet. I apologize for that. We're trying to tighten up control on our utility cuts and trenches and restoration of trenches. In a nutshell, it shows some amendments that are addressed in the APWA that we follow, but they're not in detail in Payson City standard specifications. We're trying to tie them together and put a little more teeth into our trench restoration and surface repair. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. If there's any questions.
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
We'll move on. Thank you.
Okay. So a couple of amendments. We are going a little out of order, so I apologize, but I will reference the numbers in the staff report. So in Title 19 and 20, we've made multiple changes to the number of public hearings that we have for land use applications. Utah code requires one public hearing for all land use applications.
Our current ordinance requires two. We require one at the planning commission level and one at the city council level before a final decision is made. It has been proposed by the city council, and staff has made the changes, and it has been recommended by the planning commission that we change the number of public hearings to one, and that required public hearing be conducted at the planning commission level. So there are multiple changes in Title 19 and 20 that were needed in order to reflect that change. There was only two that we left, two public hearings that we left at the city council level, and one was for revocation of a conditional use permit. We felt like we were taking a conditional use permit away from somebody. That should be a public hearing at city council level, and the second one has escaped my mind. So anyway, but the majority for new applications will be conducted at the planning commission level. We will provide copies of
But the council still gets that, the way I understood it, the council still gets to make the final decision on what happens, right?
Absolutely,
Right.
yes. And so, and the city council could still, if you felt like it was still necessary to allow public comment before a final decision is made, you could still do that, but it wouldn't be required, and it wouldn't require notice in the paper or courtesy notices sent through the community. And so you still have that option at the discretion of the mayor and the city council to conduct that on any of those applications. So that was the majority there, and then just also in the subdivision ordinance, we are requesting that we require by ordinance that a signature block for the city attorney be placed on the final plat in the Mylar. So the list looks, very long, but it's a lot of those are related to that public hearing. And then we do have some proposed amendments for accessory apartments, second kitchens, and some amendments to the RMO1 overlay zone. And I will turn the time over to Daniel to explain those. And I know that we do have some public here to address those items when you get to that point.
Now, you warned him not to be long-winded, didn't you?
What was that?
Did you warn him about not being long-winded?
Well, I printed out some War and Peace right here. It's gonna
Okay.
start at the end of the book, if that's all right.
When you see me going like this, that means that's it.
Let's just skip to peace. Just the war, huh? Well, I guess by way of introduction, my name is Daniel, and I'll keep it that brief for my introduction. I'm a planner, and I'm newer here to Payson. So to start off, let's see. Jill, is there a clicker, or is it just?
There is, but it's just easier to push the tab button.
Okay, we're pushing the tab button. Great. So we're going to start off with the accessory apartment ordinance amendment. I'm assuming you all had some time to look at this. So this, I think, will be the public first look at this here. So this is something we've been looking at as a city for a while. I know my predecessor Kyle was in discussions with this, and I don't know exactly how all that went, but it's been going on for some time. What we've noticed as a city is we see more and more accessory apartments, but we don't see them legally established. We have people that come in and say, well, I have an accessory apartment, or I have a duplex, and we go look that up and we say, well, we don't. And that's always a shock, or often a shock to people. And then we tell them the process of how to establish it, and it's kind of cumbersome. It's a legislative process. They have to do an overlay. They have to go to a series of meetings. It's kind of scary and intimidating for some of these folks. And they walk away and they say, okay, yeah, I might do that. And then we never see them again. And I don't think it's happening. So we don't have a long list of ones that have actually been legally established in the city. And so we've recognized that a lot of this is going on without us realizing it. They're not getting inspections, they're not getting building permits. We don't know the standard of living that renters are living in. We don't know how many occupants they have. So we wanted to come up with a way to streamline that process, to make it easier to encourage people to get this done, and to make sure that the units we have are safe and healthy, so that we have a community. So the way I like to share ideas is through pictures, because that's how I read books. Yeah. Totally kidding about War and Peace.
We're in the Dr. Seuss evening.
I love Dr. Seuss. So the definition of an accessory apartment, it's a living area. It's not another unit. A living area inside a single-family dwelling that is subordinate to the main dwelling. The key here is that the home maintains its single-family residential character. When you look at a home like this, you wouldn't know if there's an accessory apartment in it or not. It looks like a single-family home. That is the most important thing. We're going to look at the qualities that make it look like a single-family home. And one of the things here is occupancy. When you have a duplex, you can have a family on one side and a family on the other side. Well, that family, under Payson City Code, under state code, that can be a multi-generational family. It can be a bunch of singles. There are 4 singles in the city of Payson for the family. You could have mom, dad, adults, children that are married, and they have their children, and we see that sometimes, that you have multi-generational households, and for some, that's necessary at some points in people's lives. And with a duplex, you could have multi-generational families on both sides. Now, with an accessory apartment, it's different. In the primary area, you have the homeowner and the homeowner's family, if any. And on the other side, it's capped at 2 adults and any minor children that those 2 adults have. So it's not family on one side and another multi-generational family on the other side. In fact, the idea here is a mother-in-law apartment is a type of accessory apartment. And so when you do have the parents that have the adult kids that move back home in the basement, they'd be the kids living inside their accessory apartment. And then those kids can move out. You can have unrelated people move in, but it would be capped again at 2. So the house generally wouldn't have more than 3 or 4 adults living in the house. Now, when we start looking at these pictures, I want you to notice as we go through all these pictures, single-family character. That's the very first thing. These are not duplexes. We don't want people converting single-family homes into duplexes. We don't want that appearance, and we don't want that to happen. We want to keep the integrity of our communities. So, some of the requirements that we have in this proposed ordinance. 1 accessory apartment is the max you can have in any single-family home. There's 1 driveway in that front yard, 1 driveway that comes up. There's a minimum of 4 off-street parking spaces. That way the roads don't get cluttered with cars. Interior access is maintained in the house. So you see that door right there, that would ostensibly be the door that would go down to a basement area, or maybe a side of the house, or maybe above the garage, or wherever it is, but that cannot be walled off. So there needs to be interior access maintained. One of the reasons that we're going to get into is when an accessory apartment is established, it does not run with the land, it runs with the owner. And so if they move out of the house and sell it to a new owner, and they want it as a rental property, that accessory apartment is terminated and it's one entire single family home.
And not a fire code also?
Well,
Like when you block your basement off from the upstairs?
if it were a duplex, it would need to meet fire code and it would be walled off. It'd be
Right.
2 entirely separate units that would have to meet fire code, that's correct. Then, let's see, the location is always inside the home. It's not going to be in a detached structure, say in the backyard. It's not going to be a second structure that's built on the property that's going to look like there are 2 homes on that lot. There's always 1 front door. So when you're looking at the front of the house, there's only 1 entrance. The entrance to that accessory apartment is going to need to be on the side or rear of the house. So when you're looking at it, you only see the 1 door. Then that access from the side of the rear needs to have paved access to the parking area. And that parking needs to be paved parking. And that way, we don't have doors that are too hidden, or you don't know how to access the accessory apartment. We can look a little bit more here. So some examples, the one on the left is not permitted. The reason why that would not be permitted is the front yard parking. We don't want front yards to be taken up for parking, so we prohibit that. Any parking in the front must lead to covered parking, or one piece of feedback we got is legal parking that's past the front setback. So it wouldn't be parking that would lead to the house. We don't want that to be covered. On the right, we see that both sides are paved. Under the proposed ordinance, only 1 side yard can be paved. and one side yard to be utilized for parking. Then we don't have a lot minimum, a lot size minimum, but the thing that's going to keep that minimum down is the requirements of the ordinance, and one of those requirements is the 4 off-street parking spaces. Well, the home on the right isn't a big enough lot to even meet those 4 off-street parking spaces anyway. So rather than come up with some arbitrary lot size for the minimum, we figured if it's big enough to meet the ordinance, then it would be big enough to have an accessory apartment. Then the one on the left, again, we don't have hard surface parking. We also have a parking area that goes directly into the house. So if an applicant, say, who lived in that house on the left wanted to come in and have an accessory apartment, we would say, well, you need to tear out that area that leads to your house that's kind of paved. That would need to be landscaped. Then the area that goes to that carport would need to be paved. And there would need to be paved access going further on the left to covered parking or to other parking towards the back. That way, we can make sure that the integrity of the communities are maintained. The one on the right, that would be a duplex. And so if somebody came in with a plan to convert their home, and they said, well, we want an accessory apartment, we're going to do this addition on the side of our house, and that's what it's going to look like, we would say no. One driveway, one garage, one front door. Then right here, we have some of the same issues. We have 2 driveways where they can only have one. You must lead, well, let's see, we have parking. Oh, the garage and the parking, it needs to be available for the tenants. One complaint we get is that there is a garage or there is a carport, but that garage or carport is filled by items owned by the homeowner. And so the renter comes in and the homeowner told us, well, yeah, I have 4 off-street parking spaces, but that parking is utilized for something else and those cars end up on the street. So we actually have it written in the code that those covered parking spaces need to be available for parking by the tenant. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, and curb gutter and sidewalk would need to be brought up to code at the time that they apply for an accessory apartment. So the process, currently it's a legislative process. One of the challenges, of course, is it costs a little bit more to go through that. You have to notify neighbors, you have to apply, to go through public meetings, and it takes the city's time, it takes money with staff, and then it costs the applicant a little bit more. It's a hassle, people kind of get confused by this process, and then the other thing is you don't know what's going to happen. And one challenge we have is a lot of people want to purchase a home, and they call us and they say, well, could I have an accessory apartment here? And we say, well, yeah, you have to go through this process. It takes a couple months. And they say, well, it's going to be off the market by that. How do I go about this when I'm looking at purchasing a home? And so you have to purchase it on faith that the planning commission or city council is going to approve this overlay. And so people tend to just disappear. We don't know if those same folks are just doing this illegally or they just abandon the idea altogether or move to another community. So in the change, it would be an administrative process, so they know the rules of the game before they play. With an administrative process, you can look at the requirements, you can look at the home, and you can see, does that home meet those requirements? If it does, then you know that you'd be able to establish an accessory apartment. So it's clear cut, it's quicker, it costs less money, and by removing that barrier to compliance, the idea is that more people will comply. So again, the purpose here, home ownership is something we want. We want Payson residents to be able to afford a home. One unique thing with an accessory apartment is it allows a younger couple to purchase a home that would work when they had kids. But before they have kids, or before their kids need more space, they can rent out part of the house. Then once their kids reach an age where they need more rooms, they can kick out the people in the basement, have their kids downstairs, and once the kids grow up and go to college, they can bring people back to the basement. So it allows more flexibility with home ownership, a little bit of financial flexibility as well, and that encourages homeowner occupancy. We're rewarding homeowner occupants rather than out-of-state landlords or out-of-city landlords here. And another thing that I found working in code enforcement, before this job I was doing some code enforcement in Provo and working with accessory apartments. When we have so many people that violate the law, people are hesitant or reluctant to turn in other neighbors for violating the law. Or if they know that one neighbor they like is violating the law, one neighbor they don't like is violating the law, and this one really bothers them, they're not going to turn it in because they don't want it. They feel it's unfair and they don't want the city cracking on somebody else. So it's difficult from a code enforcement standpoint when so many people are not adhering to the law. So if we can get compliance up, if we can make it so that people who are violating the ordinance, those tend to be the ones that are more gross violations. We have a lot of over occupancy, a lot of cars on the street. And it's easier to hone in city resources to actually enforce on people that really are damaging our neighborhoods, rather than have to arbitrarily pick which cases to enforce on and which ones not to enforce on. And then improving safety and quality of housing. Having a standard people will comply with, it makes it easier for our building inspector to make sure that these homes are being inspected. They are brought up to health and safety codes, they do meet fire codes, we do have smoke detectors, they meet the requirements that can keep us safe. And protecting neighborhood integrity by having greater longevity, making sure these homes look like single-family homes, it's not distracting for the neighborhood. I think that is the last slide. So overview, these are some of the things we discussed, just kind of a list of them. And then back to single-family home. So that's the presentation with accessory apartments.
Any questions? Great presentation.
Thanks.
Okay, anything else on any of this? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. We will go ahead and open this up to the public. If we have anybody that would like to address the mayor and council, you're more welcome to come up to the microphone, state your name, address, social security number. Height, weight.
Favorite ice cream?
Curtis, your age.
My age?
24.
Older than dirt. Please go ahead and fill. Burtonsville's Payson, Utah. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for letting me address this. I understand the need of taking into account the rentals in the community, where now it's mostly people just, if they want to rent, they rent. And there's not a guidelines to follow. I'm hoping that you take into consideration grandfathering some units in that are just rentals. I worry at looking at what is required and the cost factor in rentals. I know that there's some people that have rentals and they want to provide living accommodations for some young kids just starting out in their lives, and they can't pay a heck of a lot, but they're good kids. They're kids that were raised here in town, and they're providing that service for them to live. But on the other hand, you know, the utilities have increased a lot over the last few years. The cost of taxes has increased, and if you look at what this requires, which I think they put in a lot of work and effort in looking at this, that it may not be cost effective for some of these existing rentals. And you know, I think that there's some people that are living in town and have rentals, and they should, am I through, or is that fire? I'm talking so loud I got this mic to smoke it. And I worry that the cost of it will go up. And I'm also worried about how much government is involved in saying what you do and what you don't in your own property. I think that there'll be some people really kind of worried about that. Anyway, I do think in the existing neighborhoods, if we can encourage private ownership, that's the way we want to go. I have to agree with that. But penalizing people that are providing and being responsible, I don't think that we should. I think you have to use some judgment there. And hell, let's get right to the point. If you live in Payson and have a rental unit, you get you have some advantages. Don't put that in the paper. No, you know.
We're already out on YouTube, so.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yes, it don't matter whether or not it goes in the paper now. You're on.
more hits immediately.
Yeah, well, you know, it's exciting. Payson is a great town, and there's great things happening. And, you know, and private ownership is the way I think that we need to go. But there's some things that we can do to increase private ownership. And I don't know whether going after the rentals and that way. I think that there has to be a standard. I think that there really should be a standard. You can take it further. You could say that this is the standard. And by the way, rent will be going through a separate entity. And if a person trashes a rental unit and they leave town or a meth house and they go in and have to spend $20,000 to clean it up, well, that person that rented would have that against their credit. And so if they ever apply to come back into town or get credit, the people have noticed that there's a ding against them, or even just pound the house up, rental, the apartment. But anyway, be careful, and let's encourage private ownership. Very good.
Anybody else like to?
Can I address one of the things?
You want a rebuttal?
Yeah.
Let's go outside.
Be real brief, because your money call wasn't brief, so get on you. No.
In the ordinance, there is a section for non-conformities for properties to be grandfathered in. So anybody who has a legal accessory apartment right now, even if it does not meet the requirements of the new ordinance, as long as it was legally established before this ordinance, they're allowed to do that.
Right.
Legally, as long as,
Right.
so they would need to come in if we don't have record of it, prove that it was legally established, and it's allowed to continue.
Does it count if it goes back to 1873?
If we had established, it's legally established.
Yeah. Did they worry about that?
Well, what you're saying is they can't establish that.
Okay, anybody else like to come up?
Hi there, everyone, council men and women. My name's Joe Wright. I live here in Payson. We live in the Winegar Estates area, which is just north of the temple. When we originally bought our house, my wife and I, we did it through the self-help program. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, where you help each other build their house. And part of that we were thinking is we want to get this experience. First off, you know, it allowed us to get to a house without much of a down payment. And very minimal, I think it was $500. And working hard for 6 months, we helped build each other's houses. And so we love our neighborhood. And I can understand how, I feel like with the accessory apartment, it provides, like Daniel said, the commission planner, that it provides a way for young families like myself, my wife and I, who have 2 young children, and you know, we're trying to go to school, graduate school. Having an accessory apartment allows us to earn a little bit more income. I work as a school teacher, my wife's a nurse. We both work full time, and we're barely able to make ends meet. So if we want to improve our education, improve our lot in life, an accessory apartment is a way to do that. About 1.5 years ago, we came and talked with John over there, and who does the inspecting, and was it Kyle? It was, you replaced, yeah. So Kyle, who left a couple months ago, and we were like, we're wanting to do this. And he said, well, right now, the only way you can do it is you can either do a duplex and, explain that process and how it's kind of hit and miss, and, it's several $100s, and you may end up, after all of that, that whole process, one of your neighbors may not want it to happen and say, nope, sorry, we don't want you to have a duplex, having that apartment in your basement, sorry. And so I was like, well, is there any other option? Like a mother-in-law type apartment. And he's like, well, actually, we're working on changing the code, changing the ordinances and whatnot to allow for an accessory type apartment, just this sort of way. And I said, okay, well, that sounds great. I was like, how long do you think that'll take? And he's like, well, this is January 2016, so a year and a half ago about now. He's like, I don't think it should take, he's like, how long are you planning on building the, and I was like, I'm working and I'm building it part-time. I have a friend in the neighborhood who is a contractor, so he was helping make sure I didn't do anything wrong. Granted, I had some experience building a house, but I wanted to make sure I was doing everything by the book. And so we had John come by, and he did our four-way inspection, and we let them know what our plans was from the get-go. We got our building permit. But at the time he said, well, technically right now you're kind of in limbo because we don't have this finalized yet. The only other option is the duplex, and with what you want to do, this fits perfectly into an accessory apartment, not really a duplex. And I was like, well, that's what we want to do. So we took those guidelines that he gave us, which are almost the same as what we have. Thankfully for us, everything that Daniel presented is exactly how we did it. And 6 months later, we were finished, and unfortunately, nothing had happened with the code. And so we were like, well, we tried to do everything, and we got it inspected, and John says, yeah, you're good. And I said, well, what do you want me to do? It's like, we've got a loan now, $40,000 to pay off, and, we were kind of hoping to be able to do this. And he's like, well, we have several hundred of these apartments around, and people just do their thing. He's like, I guess you do what you got to do. But when we started doing this, the whole plan was to do it completely legally, right? And so for the past year, we've had renters down there, and I came to the planning meeting when they approved the initial approval of this and sent it to you guys for this meeting. And then we had neighbors who did the same thing, except when they saw the process, they did it a little bit before us. So I don't know that the idea of an accessory apartment had been brought up yet. They just went ahead and did exactly like Daniel said. They just said, we're just going to do our own thing then. And so they didn't get it inspected. And who knows what sort of hazards, the people that are living down there, right? This accessory apartment zone change and adjustments allow you as a city and all of us, frankly, to have peace of mind, knowing that it's been inspected, they follow the rules, they're making sure they keep the feeling of a single-family neighborhood, and yet right now we're at a 40-year, it's been 40 years since we've had a housing shortage in Utah, and we are in a really bad housing shortage. I don't know if you've looked at the news, but housing developers and stuff are like, they can't get houses built fast enough. And you've seen housing prices and rent, they just keep going up. And so I agree with the gentleman that spoke earlier that an accessory apartment does provide a way to help young couples who are just getting started in life. They might be straight out of high school, right, that have gotten married, and they can't afford that, condo that's $1,000 rent, basically a mortgage, right? But they could afford if somebody could rent out a room or two, right? And they have a small little kitchen in their basement, and they could do that. So I feel like the accessory apartment is a great thing, and I'll be the first one there to get ours legalized because I've been wanting it to be legalized since the get-go. So I definitely approve. I approve, and I want you to know that there is a demand for it. And I feel like it's a good thing because it's going to help you as the city and all of us to know exactly what's going on. We make it straightforward, simple process, but you maintain the control. And you know exactly what's going on, and we're able to keep all of those goals that we have with it. So that's just why. Did you have a question for me, or?
No,
okay.
That's it.
If you ever want to come by my house and see exactly what we've done, you're more than welcome to. I'm proud of it. I put a lot of work into it, so. But anyway, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Seeing none, do we have a motion to Jill?
Daniel has some more ordinance amendments that
Oh.
he needs to discuss before you go to the
Okay,
public
thought we had
hearing.
them all.
That's just the accessory part.
Okay.
This is the peace part.
You got 2 minutes.
Here.
3 minutes.
You're gonna go by Dan instead of Daniel's too short.
That's right. And then I wrote a little amendment, I don't know how to do this exactly, on the accessory apartment 1, where it says parking, so it's in number 10, it says in 10C, not be located closer to the front lot line than the dwelling unless the parking space leads to covered parking, and I added, or legal parking past the front setback. That was a piece of feedback.
Has Kim got a copy of that? She's copy for the records.
Where was you looking? Okay, so that's it for accessory apartment. Moving on. Okay. All right. So similar to accessory apartments, another issue we have is second kitchens. So we want to keep homes looking and acting like single-family homes. Our current ordinance states that a single-family dwelling can only have 1 kitchen. Believe it or not, that is something that has not been followed. We've been issuing building permits for a long time for homes to have second kitchens, even though our code does not state such. So we're going to clean that up, but we want to clean it up in a way where we make sure that homes that have 2 kitchens remain single-family homes and not illegal duplexes. So duplexes are kept at 1 kitchen per unit. Homes that have an accessory apartment, it's 1 unit or 1 kitchen in the primary area, 1 kitchen in accessory, so it's still 2 kitchens in that entire house. If it goes back to being a single-family home, it's now a single-family home that has 2 kitchens. Some of those requirements then, for single-family homes, 1 front entrance. We don't want a home with 2 kitchens that has 2 entrances. That's really easy to convert to a duplex. 1 address. So that means if it used to be a home with an accessory apartment that had 2 addresses, it's a single-family home again, you need to remove that second address, get that taken off, 1 address. Interior access kept throughout the house. We don't want somebody blocking off part of the house, saying this is a single-family home, I have a kitchen on the other side, block it off, tell the city inspector, single-family home, right when you walk away, they rent it out. Then 1 utility meter, then we would require a certificate of present condition. So that's something on the chain of title. So anybody going to purchase this home or list it for sale, any title company, when they go to refinance or whatever it is, and they refinance it and they have this rental income and they're trying to qualify based off this rental income, the title company can look at that and say, actually, this is a single-family home with 2 kitchens. So those are the restrictions that we're adding just to make sure our single-family homes stay single-family homes. That is it for the second kitchen portion. And then we have another one, but for some kitchens, that's it. Okay. Then, let's see how. I'll just start talking as Jill pulls up. So, yeah, this was this last one, then it's a folder. So this next one is the RMO1 overlay. And this is an exciting one. The proposed ordinance amendment adds a new section called a planned residential development. So this planned residential development would be a permitted use in the RMO1 overlay. I guess a little bit of background, RMO1 is an overlay that can be applied onto some of the residential zones. It allows for duplexes as well as single-family homes. And in a planned residential community, it would be a community that's built typically on an infill basis. So when you have a bigger area of infill, it would allow for a planned residential community. In fact, we have a 1 acre minimum size for this. So some of the features, when we're looking at a planned residential community, common space. So typically, when we talk about area per lot, that would be a fenced off area with front setbacks, side setbacks, rear setbacks. Instead, we're looking at common space. So we would take that area, average it out over the entire development, and then have these common space areas. And the setbacks between buildings would be different than a traditional single-family home. And we'll have pictures of this, again, because that's how I like to do things. Frontage, so if we're doing a planned residential community, 200 feet along the main public street that it's off of. That way we don't have some narrow entrance and it goes back in some big hidden planned residential community. So we wanted to engage with the street, we want to be part of the public. Setbacks, they would need to be at least the same as the buildings that they're adjacent to. And if there aren't any, then a setback of 20 feet. And we'll get a little bit more to that. And then design standards. And so in this zone, or not zone, in this overlay, this subsections overlay, which again, this is a new optional additional tool that developers can have. We have some design standards, and we're going to take a look at a lot of these pictures. So as we go through, pay attention to some of the design elements. We're going to be talking about design elements with these design standards, and a lot of these we already see, they're pretty common. The South Meadows Area Specific Plan and the homes that we showed there as part of that plan, those homes meet the proposed design standards. And so we can look at some of those. So you can see here that the top one would be typical with this ordinance amendment. It would be something that would meet the ordinance, and the bottom one is allowed by the current ordinance. But what we're looking at, pay attention to things like the architectural features, so porches, columns, making sure the columns are proportionate and meet architectural standards. The windows, make sure we have requirements that they're grouped, that they have verticality, and several other features including wrapping, so that way when you have a front facade, it doesn't just end on an exterior corner, it wraps, and we have a lot of pictures showing what we mean by that. So again, look at things like gables and dormers, the roof pitch, the relief, so the architectural relief on the front facade, the stone and masonry and other architectural or other materials used on the front facade. The garages that have a step back, so it's set back from the front of the house, so the garage isn't the dominant feature when you look at the house. And the home being oriented toward the street rather than oriented toward some other endless location. So right here you see some examples of that. So the garage is there in front, but it's not the dominant feature. The home is not hidden behind a garage. That's because the home steps out in front of it. So we have a step back for the garage. We have a prominent architectural entry with columns that fit. They're not way too narrow. They're not too large. And the material that wraps around the side. Then right here, this is something that would be allowed by the current ordinance. So we have columns. You can see the column size is not proportionate to the house. So we just make those columns be a little bit larger. The garage that sticks out in front, we have that garage have a step back. That blank side of the house, that stucco side, that rear or side elevation over there, we'd have the material wrap around. That's part of what gives it a more pleasant feel rather than ending right there on the corner. So you can see the difference there. And it's interesting as we talk about architectural standards, some of these things aren't necessarily things you would think of, but when you look at the pictures, there's something in you that says, I like the one on the right more than the one on the left. And we're trying to find ways that we can actually put that into code rather than just say things like pleasing. You know, we want pleasant architecture or architecture that engages or, you know, that is visually pleasant. Like, we want to try to put this in writing as much as possible. So this home right here, in first glance, if you were to drive by, you may not even notice that it is a duplex. It's quite pleasant. When you look at it, it has the varied exteriors, the materials wrap around the sides, there's groupings of windows on those side elevations. They're vertical, the garages are set back, the prominent entries are much more pleasant. And the home engages with the street. They have large windows that face the street. Unlike these homes right here, that's another duplex. In this case, the home is behind a garage. It doesn't engage with the street. There aren't what we call eyes on the street. So if something were to happen on the street, nobody would see it, nobody would know. When you walk at night, you feel like you're completely alone in a secluded back alley, but yet you're on the main public street in front of somebody's house. So right here, garage is sticking out, materials don't wrap around the corner, and that would change with newer development. So again, on the left you have what would be allowed under the current ordinance and what would be allowed, well, a type of use, or a type of development that would be allowed with the proposed ordinance. So here again, you have that step back. With the roof pitch, we have an 812 for the main roof, and then a 312 pitch, so it can be less steep for the minor, like the gables and some of the other minor roofs there. So here's an example of what a planned residential community could look like. So this one is one that would meet the current ordinance if we were to apply the current ordinance to a planned residential community. So in this plan, you have individual lots. There's not a lot of open space because all of the area is taken up by the individual lots. You have garages that face the public street. You have garages that face the private or public road that goes through this area. There's not a lot to it. It's just higher density. If we bolden that, you can see that those are all fences, and you can imagine what that would look like. It's just a bunch of jumbled fences around these homes. Instead, so that's a bunch of fences. Instead here, when we do common space, with the architectural standards, we can start to see some of the differences. So those homes like 1, 2, 3, and 6 along the streets, those would be oriented. 6 would need to be turned a little bit to meet the proposed ordinance, but 1, 2, 3, and 6 would be oriented toward the public street. They would have porches or other architectural features that engage with that street. So when you look at this development, you don't just see garages, you see homes. You see where people live, and the people who live in those homes can see the street. As you walk into the development, you have common space. That common space actually has requirements so that the homes that face the common space have to have architecturally interesting exterior walls. So they need to have relief if they face the common space. They need to have windows. They need to have architecturally interesting design. So you see the porches that engage with that common space. In the areas where the common space is really narrow, like between units 16 and 17 there at the bottom, we wouldn't require that. That could be more of a blank stucco wall. People aren't going to really walk there, or behind 15, 16, 17, 18 there at the bottom. But the areas that face the trails and face common space would all be architecturally interesting by code. Then we have more open space here. We have trails, we have community gathering areas. The amenities would be more accessible. It's a place people could walk through. It's a place people would like to be, and that's the idea. So we have alley-loaded garages where possible, and that way cars aren't, and garages aren't the main thing you see when you walk into this community, when you look at this community, and when you live in this community. So here is an example. This is the last slide. I got through all of it. So some hypothetical elevations here, a drawing of what these homes could look like. Again, they would have garages, but when you're coming from a main street, those garages would be in the side or the rear, and the home would be oriented towards the street. It would have architecturally interesting facades. It would have relief, a mix of materials, and be by code something more like this, rather than some of those other ones we saw where as long as they met setbacks, they could do whatever they wanted, and you could have a garage be the dominant feature. So it's important though, as we look at this, to remember that this is not for all homes in the city. We're not trying to tell everybody how to build their dream home. This is only for planned residential communities within the RMO1 overlay. So it's pretty narrow. It's an option. It's an extra tool for developers. So it's a new thing that we're providing, that we're adding in addition to what we already have. So I think that wraps
Is
up.
that it?
Yeah.
Any others? We're done, Ian?
That's it.
Okay, is there anybody else in the audience that would like to come up? We're still in public hearing. Seeing none, do we have a motion to go to public hearing?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, any other discussion?
Have a little bit of discussion.
Okay.
One is, I was just hoping to get an entree tonight, but I got the appetizer, 3 entrees and desserts, so maybe next time we just do 1 entree at a time. Going back to the public hearing, the hearings for the city council, one is you've done really good at getting minutes from the public hearings from the planning and zoning. But I would suggest if we are going to have public hearings in the city council, that the city council gets the agenda for the planning commission, so that we can be able to attend if we feel like we need to for public hearings at the planning and zoning. So that's something I think would go well there. Accessory apartments. Had a couple of questions. What control mechanism do we have when the homeowner moves out and then just rents the up and down and makes it into a duplex? What control mechanism is there?
Under duration and, well, conformance with Payson City Code. So any violation of any Payson City Code may result in denial, suspension, or revocation of an accessory apartment application or permit. So that's one area. And then duration and severance. So an accessory apartment permit is only valid for the duration of ownership of the accessory apartment and does not run with the land. It shall terminate whenever owner occupancy is not maintained, or when an owner occupant elects to discontinue using the living space as an accessory apartment. If an accessory apartment is denied, revoked, or discontinued, the accessory apartment shall be removed from the structure. And I think right here we have any violation of this section may result in a Class C misdemeanor.
Right, yeah, I saw the violations and all that in there, but I guess there's really no way to know if somebody moves out unless a neighbor says something or something, is there?
So somebody would need to report it, or they would need to try to refinance or sell the home or something like that for it to come to our attention. Or the utility, if the owner doesn't live there anymore, if the owner has another address that's not that address, then we catch it. I think other ways it's come to our attention. Anything that would come to the city's attention.
So, can we do regular screenings on that? I mean, just like an audit? I mean, I don't want to be overly prescriptive or anything like that, but.
Yeah, we can, with the county, when you don't live there anymore, if the address changes to the county, that's another red flag.
Right, but how do we see that?
Oh, we can regularly check up on that.
That's what I meant by an audit.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing I can see, that people are gonna move out, and then the utilities are gonna move to the people moving in, and so it's kinda hard to fault that way. I guess you can ask if you know they're legal, these type of accessory apartments, when they come in to get utilities, we can ask them if they are the owner, and where they live, in that, if the owner still lives, something like that, just to kind of keep some system to try to have some control.
Yeah, we would keep a database of all of the accessory apartments that we have in the city, for sure. And I don't know with utilities if they check to see if the person is the owner. I don't think we have anyone from utilities here that does that, so I don't know.
Right, but that'd be a good recommendation, is that we have some, that way we might be able to have some control over it. And I can see what you're trying to do with these accessory apartments. I think you did a good job. I just don't want to make it too easy, because we don't want to have every house have an accessory apartment too. So, because we want the accessory apartments for some people because of all the reasons, but then the neighbors don't want to have every house around them being like duplexes. Even though the look's not a duplex look, it's still, you can have more traffic, more people. So
Right.
I think you've done a pretty good job trying to balance those. And then I wanted to know who drew the pictures in the...
Not me.
Okay.
The architects.
Okay. The ones in our ordinance that you put out, the little pictures. So.
Oh, the one that's in the ordinance?
Right.
Yeah, not me either.
Okay.
It would be scribbles.
I think that's all I had. Thanks.
Does this affect the Arrowhead community or the Salisbury community that are in works already?
The accessory apartment?
No, the RMO.
RMO1, the planned residential community?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Okay, I have some questions for you.
Okay.
Who came up with the design standards that we're doing in this RMO?
The design standards is a mix of us and some architects.
Is this consistent with what is going on in other municipalities up and down the Front Range, or is this kind of our invention?
In terms of...
Well, adding the additional items that we're requiring them to have in that RMO overlay.
I don't know. Let's see. I wonder if we have... No. I don't know what other... We've seen that there are more and more... Increasingly, there are design standards that cities use. But in terms of which design standards used where, I don't know.
My concern is, are we making ourselves non-competitive with other communities by over-prescribing what they have to do in these developments? What are the costs that would be increased by these changes because builders are going to look at that and there'll be a point where they'll say, well, we're not going to interested in doing this because of the prohibitive costs that are involved in that.
Right, so that's why this is completely in addition to all of the existing things that are available to developers. So there's not currently, say, a residential community like this that we're amending to make it more restrictive. We're adding a new permitted use entirely. So all of the other prior permitted uses are still there. These design standards don't affect them. We're not modifying the other permitted uses. We're not taking them away. This is a new use entirely.
But that will go on with all others that come in.
Just of that use.
And the RMO.
Just the RMO1,
yeah.
number 3, planned residential community, which as of right now that term doesn't even exist.
Okay.
So it's a new thing. You are kind of right. It is more of a guinea pig run. We're saying, okay, if you're going to do this design residential community, this planned residential community, we're going to put in some design guidelines, see how it goes, tweak it. If developers come in and say this isn't the kind of product people want, then we can amend the design guidelines. Of course, the developer doesn't have to do this kind of planned residential community. It wasn't a tool it's not a tool that's available today anyway. So we're providing a limited tool to see how it catches on.
So what you're saying is anybody can come in and still do a regular subdivision. Yes. They don't have to use this with these design guidelines.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other discussion or a motion?
I could make a motion that we approve the changes to Title 19 and Title 20 with the one addition that Daniel made on legal parking past the legal setback.
Okay, have a motion. We got a second?
What? Oh, and RM, let's see, design standards, and what was there another one? Joe, was there one more?
There are 3 resolutions, or
Okay.
excuse me, ordinances, so if you will take them, do 3 motions. One is Title 20, one's Title 19, one is the standards that Kent mentioned.
Okay, so you want 3 motions, or
There
not
are
one?
there are 3 different, and let me provide you with a hard
Okay.
copy of those. See? And they have my note that I circled the.
Brian, why don't you just start off with the first one and just start making it, and we'll just go from there.
Okay, so I make a motion that we approve the ordinance amending the standard specifications and standard plans of the Payson City Code and providing effective date.
Okay, we've got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. We'll go roll call, Mike?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
Okay,
Second motion,
then I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance amending the various sections of Title 19 zoning ordinance of the Payson City Municipal Code and providing an effective date. And is that the one where the legal parking was changed?
Yes.
And then add in or legal parking past the legal setback in the one area.
Second.
okay, we got a motion, we got a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Roll call, sorry.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Third
And,
motion.
and the last one, an ordinance amending the various sections of Title 20 subdivision ordinance of the Payson City Code.
Okay, we got a motion, we got a second.
I'll second it.
We got a second. We'll go roll call, Mike?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. That cover all that? Okay. Next thing on the agenda is the resolution and development agreement for Payson View Estates.
So Mayor, I don't have a long presentation on this. We brought Payson View Estates Plat G1 to you a couple months ago to reaffirm the final plat approval that they had received. And so the City Council did move forward with granting that. Staff has prepared a development agreement to finalize the conditions of approval for that. We do have Ross Welch here with Patterson Construction, who may want to at least introduce himself to the City Council. But there were a couple of minor amendments that they, as they have reviewed the development agreement, that they had asked staff to make. So some of those changes have been made. One in particular that I do want to mention tonight is that in section 3C, there's a reference to that all electrical facilities or power lines need to be located underground. One thing that we needed to change in that section is there is a Rocky Mountain power transmission line that goes through there. That is not intended to be underground. And so we've added just one word to say distribution lines would need to be located underground, but that overhead transmission line will remain overhead. But with that, I'll at least give Ross a few minutes to introduce himself, and then if you have any questions about this, I can help with answers, or Ross can address them as well.
Can I, are you leaving, Rick?
Yeah.
Can I make a motion that we appoint Mike as Mayor Pro Tem for the rest of this meeting?
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I thought the mayor and I had just switched spots, but so my name is Ross Welch. I'm with Patterson Construction, and we are excited. We really enjoy working here with Payson. Your staff is great, and we just haven't done much here for a while. And as I've mentioned to you before in other meetings, we value that property very highly because it's such a beautiful piece, and we feel like the market has finally moved there, and we're moving forward with this and looking to bring the other phases in as well quickly, and are anxious to do so. So appreciate your support. Thank you.
Ross, I have one quick question. I don't know if the city talked to you, but there's one road that comes up and then another road that you just stubbed in, and you'd only have to go a little bit farther to put 4 more lots there and continue the road around. Did you look at that? So you have that road continue without a lot of
We're working on that as the very next one we're going to be moving forward.
Okay.
So, one of the challenges we have obviously is accesses, and so we're going to have to put in on the next phase that we're going to come forward with will be a road access that gives us multiple points we need. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a resolution before us regarding the development agreement for Payson View Estates, Plat G1, located approximately 1370 South, 500 East. We have a motion on this resolution.
I'll go ahead, Doug.
Go ahead.
I make the motion that we approve. Which resolution is it? E2. Yeah, I think I heard copy. Okay, authorize resolution 719-2017, resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of Payson City to enter into a development agreement between Payson City, the Utah Municipal Corporation, and Patterson Construction, Inc.
Do we need to include anything on the development agreement?
If the resolution is approved.
That we're okay.
Yeah, well, I'll just make that one modification with the distribution,
Okay.
and it will be attached to the resolution.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second by Councilwoman Carter. Is this roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, passed.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is a resolution regarding amendments to the Payson City fee schedule. I believe this is Dave's deal.
We might need to have Kent come up on some explanations, but in the agenda request, we've amended the fees based on the budget approval and then the development fees last time. There were a couple of things on the solid waste that caused a few concerns, and so we wanted to bring that back and just clarify them. A lot of the changes that you see there, we deal with cash out there at the landfill quite a bit, so it's hard to charge $3.08 or 10. So we rounded on most of those. Most of them went down rounding. There's a couple that went up, but it's a rounding thing, so we don't have to provide change and all that stuff out there for the cash customers. The one item we had is there's a $3 minimum for residents up to a ton, and for the non-residents it was just a 17 something per ton, but it was but we would weigh the truck and it would prorate it, and so some of the non-residents were paying less than what the residents paid, and so we amended that to just put that up to a ton it's $6. For residents is $3. So that was the other big change there. There was one that we've had in the resolution for quite some time, our fee schedule, that waste requiring special handling, and it was just the same as a commercial low per ton. It's not actually what was in practice out there at the landfill. They would charge $100 for any type of special handling if it needed to be buried in a certain spot. It's when the staff would have to specially handle that solid waste. That's what they've been charging for the last several years, so we just made sure that that's correct with what they've been doing out there. I think those are the changes from what was adopted a month ago with the resolution. So if you have any questions or clarifications, I maybe can't stay here so that he could answer them.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
One is when you go to up to 1 ton for $6, and then you go to 1 ton and over $40. So if somebody's smart and they had 5 tons of stuff, they'd bring four loads under a ton, and then cost maybe $30 versus $200. So I wonder if we ought to lower that way down to 500 pounds or something like that to make it so they aren't bringing heavy loads and trying to spread it out and save a lot of money. So it's just something I thought about.
So just so I understand what you're saying, explain that one more time.
Well, if you had 5 tons of stuff you wanted to bring in, and you brought in well, let's say 4 tons, and you brought in 4 loads, all under a ton, you're only gonna pay very little money. But if you brought in one big load, you're gonna pay a lot of money. So you're saving a lot of money by bringing 4 or 5 loads instead of 1 load.
That calculates into truck time and things like that. It really does take place.
Well,
These contractors, they look at truck time and hauling time, loading time.
well, I'm thinking of it as a resident that brings in brings in a load of
So
stuff.
we proposed, what we were proposing here, we took out that language of up to 1 ton. It's just, it's $21 per ton.
Yeah, I'm looking at municipal waste.
Uh-huh.
So if you brought in something that's almost a ton, it's going to cost you $6. If you brought in something barely over a ton, it costs you $40. So why not make 2 trips? It costs you $12 versus $40. So it just seems like if we lowered the amount to, quarter of a ton or something like that, it makes a little more sense.
Yeah. One thing I talked with Ken about is anything under a ton, you don't have to have them weigh and then go dump and then come back and weigh again. It just saves.
Yeah, and that's the point too.
Well,
So.
when you're dealing with 200 to 300 customers a day,
Right.
going in and out,
Yeah.
unattended,
Yeah.
that's what that minimum kind of mitigates that congestion.
That makes sense.
There is some calculated risk in there.
Right, okay. The other thing is on the construction demolition, we have non-residents and residents the same. Why wouldn't we charge non-residents more bringing in their demolition stuff?
Do you want to answer that?
We've talked about it. But what we're really looking at is there's contractual, like San Quentin and Elkridge, they're covered under a contractual agreement. But some of the others, like Benjamin and Leland and that, it really doesn't happen enough and we just.
You get some of the C&D's mostly commercial outfitters. You might get a
Right,
few
right.
of resident, non-resident, but most of it's commercial people that bring in.
Right.
Very seldom do we get.
And so we can do that. I think that's a good idea. We just haven't distinguished because you don't get a lot of residents that go to the C&D. It's mostly just the regular.
Right, but if it's do we charge if somebody's demolishing something here in Payson and their contractor brings it in, do they get it as a resident rate because it was torn down here, or do they pay?
It goes in under commercial.
It just pays the commercial rate, whether it's resident or non-resident.
Okay, so there really isn't a resident rate then for,
Right.
it's all the same.
For C&D, it is the same on both, but
Okay.
we put them both because you have a resident, non-resident category there. But it's the same rate.
I just try to make some more money for you guys.
Turn me loose.
Do we have any other questions from the council or comments? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the rate hike. Oh, here he comes. I was started.
I know, you're doing good too.
Where is it? Oh. I make propose that we accept the resolution amending the fee schedule for the solid waste, reflecting fees being charged and rounding to accommodate cash payments.
Number 7/19/2017, right?
That's right.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilwoman Carter and a second by Councilman Hewlett. Again, this is by roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. So we have unanimous vote. Okay, next item is the discussion regarding Spring Lake. And Dave, why don't we let you give a short introduction and then we'll allow Ruth to come up.
I don't know how much of an introduction I have. Councilman Hardy contacted me that there's some residents out there that have concerns about some of the
goings on at Spring Lake, and so we did, a few years ago, we had this discussion. We did make some signs out there. The county sheriff was involved at the time because it is in the county area, so I think we have a representative from the county as well, here as well. So I don't know the concerns, but we'll turn it over to the residents, let them talk.
My name is Chris Hughes. It's my husband and a few citizens from Spring Lake. I want to thank you for having me here. And I want to thank, if there's someone here from the county, I want to thank them for the extra patrol that they've been doing in Spring Lake. We've appreciated it very much. We have a problem out there. For the past 7 years or so, my husband, Ron, and myself have been cleaning the Spring Lake Park area by gathering garbage, line, hooks, etc., and taking care of the birds. That means feeding them. Through those years, we have on occasion found drug paraphernalia, a syringe, a pill, a burned spoon, or a piece of foil. But since about the first week of June, the amount of paraphernalia of all kinds has increased, along with birth control devices and many other gross things that you wouldn't want your kids to find or step on. We realize we're not the only area dealing with drug problems. That's the scary part. It's everywhere. We also realize that law enforcement are doing their best to deal with the problems of drugs 24/7. When the drug users are chased out of one area, they simply just go to another. But if the small neighborhood area of Spring Lake doesn't try to deal with what they can, we could easily be overrun. I have some pictures I'd like to show you. The explanations are on the back, and also some evidence. This has been since the middle of June, in the same place.
What kind of place?
To you.
The Spring Lake community is out of the way, quiet, and very dark. There are no lights at the park, no cameras, and very few citizens driving around after dark in the area. More importantly, at the park, there is a wooded area with easy access in and out for cars. This is on the east side, the entry from the north. We have two main problems at the park. One is the easy access in and out for the drug users and those choosing to vandalize the property. The second problem is because the gates are open, those drug abusers are driving in and out with their headlights off so as not to be seen, and are running over all our ducks and geese. Since the first part of July, there have been at least 35 hit and killed, many of them no doubt on purpose. The baby population is just decimated. The signs on both gates, on the south and the north, state the park is closed to the public at 10 o'clock p.m. Even though there are two gates with chains and locks, this rule has never been enforced. We are here tonight as concerned citizens of Spring Lake to ask if there is some way we can have those two gates locked at night. We believe if they are, the drug users that are pulling into the park will be forced to park more on the street, where their cars and license plates will be more easily seen by officers and interested people that live in the area, because there are homes around that area they'd have to park. And the ducks and geese might live in their home. That's about all I have to do, is to ask if we can't get those two gates shut and locked at night at 10. We get kicked back and forth a little bit because Spring Lake is county, We live in the county, a little bit of county that's left that hasn't been sucked in from the south by Santaquin and from the north by Payson. So we do live in the county. So the county sheriffs are the ones that come out and take care of patrol, which they've done a great job the last couple of months. I've called them twice. They've been out there patrolling and doing extra patrol a lot. We really appreciate it. But they can't sit there 24/7. And that's where a lot of our problems are coming in, is after they leave the area and in the dark. I understand that Payson City, though it is city water, and Payson City claims Spring Lake water, that Payson City holds the keys to those gates and those locks. We need to somehow come to some kind of an arrangement that we can get those two gates shut and locked. That's about all that I'm asking.
Do we have any questions for Chris? Before we invite anybody else up. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to address the council?
Thank you for having us. I'm Greg Calloway. I live right next to the lake, right where they're finding all this stuff. And they don't turn their lights off at night. They shine right in my bedroom. 2 o'clock in the morning. The other morning, you know, a lot of times the county sheriffs are coming by. They're talking to the people. They're, you know, late at night. And they seem they're just fishing. Well, when they see the county sheriffs come up, yeah, they're quiet and they're fishing. When they leave, they're really loud. And you know how the voice carries across water. And the music. And it hasn't been this bad, you know, as it is some years. Sometimes my windows start to vibrate because of the bass on the music. And that's when we decided to put the, you know, that's when Payson City was going to put the gates on. They put the gates up. They had me and Bill Benson hit locking and unlocking them. My problem with that is you try to go kick out a bunch of drunk 20-year-olds at 12 o'clock in the morning at night, and they want to show off to their girlfriends, the fight's on. So I'm not going to be involved in going around and kicking people out and locking the gate again at 10 o'clock. I get up between 4:30 and 5 anyway, and a lot of times I want to be in bed at that time. Granted, we do get woke up. So I know that before the city said they didn't have the right to go out there. But it's their property, and I think there's other cities that have the same exact situation where they go block their areas up that's outside the city limits. So maybe the chief, the county sheriffs can go on that.
Greg, is it mostly inside the gates, around the back, not on
Both
the
sides.
road?
It's both sides. They're right next to the apartments. They're right next to my house. Because the creek that comes through there from the fish hatchery, they like to fish right there. And where they're talking about the wooded area and the parking, they can park down in there.
Okay.
And while we're talking about it, I would really like to see us put a cap on ducks, like Salem. I have ducks in my garden today. I spent all, you know, spring getting it ready, growing it. Now the ducks are overeating it. Luckily, we can shoot shotguns out there. Now there tomorrow night, we're going to have more dead ducks and geese. I'm sorry, but I'm just not going to raise my garden and have them come and demolish it. I got my own chickens locked up. But there's so many ducks out there. The Fish and Game says that they're ruining the lake because of the, you know, droppings going in the lake and all the algae it's creating. I know Salem has, you know, a set thing. I don't know who I talked to about that, but there's just, after Easter, you find all kinds of new ducks. The other day I had 2 land ducks dropped off right at my house, and a chicken. So it's kind of a dropping spot for people and animals. But any help would be appreciated. Thanks for your time.
Mayor, City Council, I invited Chief Deputy Brower here to comment as far as the county's concerns are. I reached out to them a couple of weeks ago about extra patrols, and Lieutenant Tom Hobson has been conducting those, as some of the neighbors have probably seen. I was talking to Chief Brower. We would support definitely locking those gates at night. I think it's just a logistical situation we need to work out. I don't know that permanently close them is feasible at this time. I know it's kind of a long ways around there. Working in Salem for so many years, we ended up closing the road around the entire pond just because of some of these issues. I don't know if you're wanting to look at that at this point, but we would support that, locking the gate at night. I don't know if Chief Brower wants to come up if he has any other concerns.
You said it's a logistical nightmare. That's what I think it was like. Who do you pay to go?
Just having someone go there
Lock
in the
the
morning
gates.
and night. I don't know if, I think that was, Dave and I spoke about that. I think that was probably part of it.
Hey Brad, no, you're gonna have the same problem that Greg's having. If you just send, someone there to go lock it, they've gotta kick the people out.
Right,
And that's
yeah.
where the problem occurs.
And I think we could work with the sheriff's department to us or them to facilitate that. I don't have a problem. I would volunteer guys to do it, but I don't know where they're gonna be at 10 o'clock at night, that's kind of a busy time for
Right.
us. And if we're not there right at 10 o'clock and kick those out, it creates another problem. So that's the only situation I think both the sheriff and I have as far as can we be there right at 10 o'clock every night to kick them out. I think we can get it done, but it's just some nights it may be 10:30.
10:30, just.
Okay. And I'm fine. We can have our guys do it. We can get a key. We can do whatever we need to do. We want to solve the situation for everybody involved. And I don't know that it'll solve the problem out on the main road, but that's, like she said, I think it would make it more visible for us to see the people there late at night rather than be on the east side of the pond there. So.
Don't you think that if we did it for a 2-month period, they're gonna know that they're not getting, that they're not getting in if it's locked, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
I think if
Um,
we could concentrate for a couple of months even.
Yeah.
And we wanna do it every night, but it would make it a lot easier maybe to get someone.
Oh, it's the same people there all the time.
Yeah.
So as soon as they find out
Yeah.
that the sheriffs are gonna run them out of there, because it says the lake is,
Yeah.
this lake is a park and it's closed at 10 o'clock.
They'd
Just like
leave.
you one down here.
Right. So yeah, if we can get a key, I don't have a problem doing it. We just, like I said, it's just depending on where we're at and that kind of thing.
I think one thing the citizens would probably open it for you, they're just concerned about closing it, so wouldn't you guys be, nope, don't want anything to do with it, okay, okay.
The problem is, okay, if I'm supposed to open it at 5 o'clock every day, I'm heading Fairview up to
Right,
Florida for 5 days.
Okay, I just thought maybe,
You know what I mean?
Yeah. As far as the lighting and that kind of thing, that's kind of out of, I don't know where we sit on that. Talked about the lighting and that.
There's no lighting out there.
No lighting at all.
No.
There's a 3-phase going to the wells out there, right?
Oh, I just do not have a light right there.
Well, they can bring light, bring it down, they have directional lighting so it doesn't go into houses.
We had that when they put the pump house in there, we already had that discussion. I think he was on council then.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, maybe we just start with that and see where it goes. We encourage you guys to call at any time if you have to see these individuals there. Call our dispatch center and we can send somebody out as quick as we can get them there. But if I can get Tracy, is that your park?
Yeah.
We can get a key from Tracy and we can put that in motion.
Tracy drive down from Elk Ridge to lock it up.
Yeah, well, Tracy likes to swim over there. We might set him to it. Anyway, we'd be happy to do that and see how it goes. Is it still bad in the winter too? Is it year round?
They lock it in the winter.
It's completely locked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they was having, they was going in there in the winter and tearing up what lawn they do have.
Right.
And these guys have done an exceptional job keeping it up this year. It looks better than it ever has.
Yeah.
Except the water. Every time Payson City goes in and mows the grass, all the grass clippings go in the water. They end up around the edges. All the trees float in the lake. The lake is filthy, and it's really an embarrassment to have say, well, this is a park.
Well, I think we need to be good citizens. You know, we own the property. So even if it's not in Payson, I think we need to be good citizens here. We need to do everything we can to make sure that we can solve this problem.
I agree. Yeah, so, if you have any questions for Chief Brower on it?
I'd like to hear from him.
I also think that speaks to a bigger problem. I was hit up the other day by another resident in town, and we can't lock up their roads. Is over by Jeannie's, and they talk about how drug dealers are going down every day, and they see them.
Yeah.
And if you watch the news, like there's needles all over the state. I mean, it's an epidemic right now, and there's a bigger issue than just locking it up, and we can't solve it here easily. But
well,
we can do.
I think the whole epidemic in a whole is a big issue. We can't arrest our way out of it. We know that. We've tried that. We can't arrest every one of them all day long and babysit everyone. I think the solution starts with prevention, and I think, you know, we had a big push, you know, in the 80s, late 80s, you know, the don't do that approach with alcohol and tobacco and that kind of thing. And I think we're gearing towards that again, you know, based on some of the propaganda stuff that's coming out now. That I think that's where our push is coming, you know, where we can get into the schools, we can get into the community groups and do that kind of thing. But, you know, that hasn't always been the case, so I think the results are yet to be seen on those. Like I said, we do what we can as far as that, you know, we're doing search warrants all the time. We did one last night, but there's more people using than there's cops on the street, right. And I think that's one of our big issues. But I can't say that we're gonna solve it overnight or we're gonna stop it. We'll just do our best to prevent it and deal with those issues that we can at the time and move forward. I know Chief Brower has a couple of drug enforcement teams that do help us out a lot. They were out helping us last night, so we are working on it. I mean, it's just one of those things, like trying to shoot a million fish with one bullet. You know, it's just one of those issues that we just got to tackle as we come to it and do it from there. But my personal opinion is prevention, and then that's kind of what we're trying to lean our focus on, since we do not have the manpower to go at it, you know, 30, 40 employees. So, but I'll turn it over to him, and if you guys have any questions for Chief Brower.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here and for the citizens that come forward. We appreciate the working relationship with Payson. Obviously, we do a lot of mutual aid with each other. If something happens in Spring Lake and they're serious, they can get there quick until we can get there. We have stepped up some extra patrols because of some of the phone calls. I continue to do that. Even if the sheriffs come and chase them off, they come back. I know it's a pain, but calls again, they'll come back as soon as they get there. Usually we have 2 deputies on a night in the entire south end, which is a pretty big area. But from the set team or narcotics team, the undercover units, we'll put some more emphasis into that area in the next little while. Hopefully we can kind of chase the main guys out and work through those issues. But continue to call, and we'll keep coming out to support and chase them off. Step up some patrols. And be careful carrying those needles around in your car.
Yeah.
But just give us a call, we'll come pick them up.
Chief Brower, you take that, right?
Yeah, that's right there. We'll dispose of that. But yeah, as far as the county end, you know, helping close the gate, you know, we can work a little bit with that. Just wherever we are at the time of day is going to impact our abilities to do that as well. But we're willing to help support and clean up the issue.
So a more extreme measure, although not completely outlandish, is closing it 24/7. I mean, it's not a big enough pond that you can't park and walk over to that backside if you want to fish there. People who go up to Maple Lake, up the canyon, they park and they walk down and they take their fishing stuff. And culturally, it's going to be hard because everybody's used to doing it. But just a thought.
I disagree with that.
I think we.
Councilman, I think maybe we start with this.
Okay.
And if we can't solve some of these problems, or at least put a dent in it, you know, we
Sure.
want people to use it.
Right.
And we want people, because the majority of people that are going there and fishing and having fun and doing what they're supposed to do is probably, 90% of them. It's just that small group that we're having problems with, and I think, maybe we make a few steps with extra enforcement and the gates locked and that type of thing, we could maybe help these folks out and be a good neighbor that way. And I guess if it come to that, but I don't think we're gonna need to get to that extreme right now. So.
There's a lot of people that use that lake actually, right?
I know, I'm one of them. Don't get me wrong, I totally understand.
Especially with these new plastic canoes or whatever they're on.
Oh, right, yeah.
Swimming around.
Plastic kayaks.
There's like 50 of them out there a couple weekends ago.
Okay, do we have anything else from our visitors? Yes.
I'm Bill Vinson. I'm on the other end of the lake. And for a while we did close the gates and unlock them and stuff, but I figured it's a problem between the county and the city that needs to take care of that. And there is a lot of people who come and use that. There's paddle boards, there's paddle boats, there's all kinds of stuff. Young men and women come out during the week for their activities. Sometimes there's even 30, 40 cars out there. And it gets used a lot. And a lot of it's from Payson City residents that use that lake. Some are from Santa Clara, different areas, but a lot of them use that. And so during the daytime, it would be nice if they could keep that open. But at night, there is definitely a problem that we need to take and address and take care of that. And I think the sheriff's done a good job out there, and it sounds like they're going to do a really good job continue to do that and see if we can maybe control it a little bit at night. I know I got my shed broke in one night and tore the doors off of it. And so it'd be good if the gates were closed at night, because that's usually when it happens, busy evenings. So, thank you.
There's also been some really good eagle projects out there too.
There has, and they've really used that dock a lot.
That's another thing.
I do want to thank the city though for mowing the lawn on that one side. They come every Thursday, they mow it, and they do a great job. Just the last 2 years they've been doing that, and they've been real consistent, and I appreciate that, and thank you for that.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, do we have a comment?
Greg's got a story.
Small.
Somebody,
Remember, you're on YouTube.
okay.
I forgot.
The people out there is taking the really nice picnic tables that the Eagle Projects has done, and they've taken them off the pads, they've unbolted them and put them back. And what I've witnessed in the past living there, they're gonna end up in a lake, buried. So maybe if Tracy could get his guys to go over and pull them back down, weld them or something, so they can't get them off. Cause they'll be disappeared. I was gonna call the city the other day and forgot, so.
Now, I hauled them back to the pad, and the next day they're back out again.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you
Just
very
like
much.
to see things, we don't have a lot of nice stuff out in Spring Lake. We got the pavilion
It's a great
in the lake that
community.
they've done a lot of things with, for public. Kinda like to keep it that way, looking nice after they do it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a closed session tonight?
Quick for a minute.
Okay, do we have a motion to go out of council?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now do we have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
That's a roll call.
Oh, that's a roll call? Aye.
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 Okay, are we set? Okay, so we'll ask the public to please leave so we can go into our closed session.